Assalamu alaikum. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes, but if I can have the brothers and the sisters all start moving towards the curtain. We have more people coming in. I have never seen the parking lot this full. I'll tell you that. So we need to come in as close as possible. You don't have to stop the talking because we still have a few more minutes before we start. But as we're talking, let's keep shuffling. So lots of empty space up here, brothers, sisters. I see empty spaces over there. Please fill in. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Assalamu alaikum everyone. We're going to start with the recitation of the Holy Quran, but if I can have everyone please come in close to the curtain. This is going to be an announcement that's going to happen a few times tonight, so please come in close to the curtain. I see lots of gaps. Masa, why don't you come sit down? I see lots of gaps here, up here, brothers, sisters, there's gaps up here. Please fill in. Please fill in. I have never seen the parking lot this full, which is a great thing, but we need to make sure that we do what we can to accommodate our brothers and sisters. So if they'd like to be in this room, that they can. If they don't, there's overflow rooms, but if they would like to be in this room, we don't want to take more space than we need, so that others can also be in the hall. Everyone, we're not doing enough, inshallah. Let's everyone stand up and move forward, please. Sisters as well, please stand up and move forward. Please stand up and move forward. Sisters as well, there's a big gap right here, sisters. On the brother side, I should be having to step in people's lap as I walk outside. Inshallah. Brothers, let's fill in right here. Up here, there's space. There's a nice big space right there. Juicy space right there. Juicy space. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله واتقوا الله إن الله سميع عليم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي ولا تجهروا له بالقول كجهر بعضكم لبعض أن تحبط أعمالكم وأنتم لا تشعرون. إن الذين يغضون أصواتهم عند رسول الله أولئك الذين امتحن الله قلوبهم للتقوى لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم. إن الذين ينادونك من وراء الحجرات أكثرهم لا يعقلون. ولو أنهم صبروا حتى تخرجوا إليهم لكان خيرا لهم والله غفور رحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بالنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. واعلموا أن فيكم رسول الله لو يطيعكم في كثير من الأمر لعنتم ولكن الله حبب إليكم الإيمان وزينه في قلوبكم وكره إليكم الكفر والفسوق والعصيان أولئك هم الراشدون. فضلا من الله ونعمة والله عليم حكيم. وإن طائفتان من المؤمنين اقتتلوا فأصلحوا بينهما فإن بغت إحداهما على الأخرى فقاتلوا التي تبغي حتى تفيء إلى أمر الله فإن فاءت فأصلحوا بينهما بالعدل وأقسطوا إن الله يحب المقسطين إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوما من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم ولا نساء من نساء عسى أن يكن خيرا منهن ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب بئس الاسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان ومن لم يتب فأولئك هم الظالمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعد الظن إثم ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا أيحب أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه واتقوا الله إن الله تواب رحيم صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Thank you, brother, for the recitation of the Holy Quran. As you know, if you've been attending, we've been having short discussions by students from Rise Academy about oppression that is happening in different parts of the world. We've highlighted places like Myanmar, places like Afghanistan, and others. But tonight we have Brother Hassan Abadi, who's speaking about the oppression in Pakistan. Inshallah, let's all give him your attention and invite him up with the Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. My name is Hassan Abadi, and I am a student currently attending Rise Academy, as the brother said. And today I'm going to be giving a short speech on the oppression Shia Muslims in Pakistan are currently experiencing. Next slide. So I'm just going to be going over the history of Pakistan first. Then again, like I said, the oppression of Shia Muslims in Pakistan, and then how we could help the oppression in Pakistan. So Pakistan used to be part of India, and India used to be controlled by the British. In 1947, the British lost control over India, and India became divided into two separate nations, Pakistan and India. Pakistan is one of the few countries in this world that was created based on a religion, and it was created based on the religion of Islam. So there's a huge difference between the rich class and the poor class of Pakistan. In Pakistan, the poor, they don't have any shelter. They lack shelter, food, and clothes. And they have to beg at car windows for extra food or money. And they experience extreme heat in the summer and extreme cold in the winters. So, can you go back one slide? So in the top two images you see, on the top one you see a little boy or girl in a dirty environment with, like, she's extremely dirty. This is the poor community in Pakistan. On the bottom, you see a nice house with like Lamborghini. That's somewhat with you see similarities with the rich society in Pakistan. Next slide. So in Pakistan, after the Iran Revolution of 1979, Saudi Arabia started spreading Wahhabism in nearby countries. Sadly, Pakistan with a few other countries were affected. Pakistan, with most Muslims being Sunni, becoming more hostile with Shia Muslims. Because of the poverty and lack of education, extremist Muslim preachers began encouraging their followers to kill Shia Muslims. This graph shows the killings in Pakistan. So a province is like similar to a state, but it's just a lot smaller. And this graph is extremely there's been many more killings. This is just a example. Next slide. So for the last few decades, they've been killing hundreds of thousands of successful Shia people. They've been killing doctors, lawyers, religious scholars, and religious poets. There have been bomb blasts in processions, there have been slaughterings in villages in North Pakistan, and there have been targeted killings. Religious tolerance is at an all-time low in Pakistan. How can we help? So I wrote down 3 ways we could help. So 1, we could create awareness among ourselves and moderate Sunni Muslims. We have to find the common ground between us and between them. Number 2, we have to demonstrate with actions what true Shia Islam is about. And number 3, the most important, we have to pray for every single person who's currently being oppressed in this world, in our world. No one deserves oppression despite their religion or race, and oppression is a worldwide problem, but if we work together, inshallah, I believe we can stop oppression. And please recite a loud salawat for everyone that is currently being oppressed in our world. Salam.
Thank you, Brother Hassan. Inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And I didn't pay for that to be said because it's Pakistan. Just letting you guys know. I'd like to now invite up Brother Maysam, who's going to give us a short little introduction to an event that's coming up, inshallah. Before Maysam starts, sorry, Maysam, keep coming. We want to make sure that we have enough space for everyone. So, alhamdulillah, we filled in from our previous move. Now it's time to move on down to the next neighborhood. Everyone, let's move in, inshallah, closer to the curtain. I know it's already tight, but I'm seeing spaces here, spaces here, spaces there. I know it's getting tight, but inshallah, we don't want to take more space than is necessary, because we want, inshallah, all the brothers and sisters that want to attend in the hall, they can also take part and attend. Brothers, if you can see carpet around you, that's some extra space. Yes. There are overflow rooms if you would like to not be in this room. There is an overflow room for the brothers in the library. For the sisters, it's in the room that's across from the ladies' restrooms. From what I hear, there's also the English program lecture being played in the ladies' dining, if that's correct. And so there are other places if you would like to not have to not at least be in this room. Over there's some space for the brothers in the library, and inshallah for the sisters in the room across from the ladies' restroom. Okay, inshallah, let's invite Brother Maysam up with a loud sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So I'm going to go by this pretty fast because I'm running out of time. So I would like to cordially and formally invite everybody here, including the sisters in the audience, to the 47th Annual MSA PSG Conference. Next slide, please. The purpose of this conference was initially established by a man by the name of Shahid Mustafa Chamran, approximately 47 years ago, in response to the Islamic movement that was happening in the Middle East. In 2013, this organization was revamped with a new group of brothers that were dedicated in establishing a perspective on philosophy and theology that would request information from the people and then give back answers. What that means is that many of the questions that we here see today, many of the questions that our youth look at in the audience, Many of these questions have not been answered appropriately because we are being currently bombarded with propaganda by the media stream. Because of this tactic, we here at MSA PSG are desperately trying to bring our youth into this organization and help them answer those questions with the help of proper scholars. We are trying to create our youth to become well-versed in foundations of Islam, capable of critical thinking, proficient in Islamic thought, lifestyle, culture, and awareness. Next slide, please. So we would like to address these challenges by creating a cultivating and challenging environment where we can have interaction between the youth that will then allow us to answer their questions with proper scholar and leadership. Next slide, please. This is a couple of examples of images that occurred at the conferences. We have a panel, we've had great speakers, we've had youth events, but most importantly, we've had a program that we began to implement, next slide, under the banner of something called Mateen Talks. Now, Mateen Talks is something very similar to TED Talks. TED Talks, if you recall, are programs where people come up, give about an hour of speech, something that's moving and dedicated towards some kind of philosophy. They get a standing ovation, they go sit down. Well, we're trying to administer this idea within the framework of the youth and under the banner of Islam. And so we've had a couple of individuals that have come up, given great speeches about oppression that occurs, like, for example, the oppression that occurred in Pakistan, programs that are occurring across the United States to help out the youth, and so on. So it's actually a very beneficial program, and it's had great success. So next slide. So there's a prize for it. Yeah, okay. So how come all you guys are so happy? So first place is $800, second place $400, third place $250. This is an attempt to cultivate a growing movement that will make them dedicated towards coming to the conference, coming, asking their questions, getting answers, and going home. And this program is one of those ways. Next slide, please. The program is currently this year going to happen in San Francisco. It's going to happen at the San Francisco Airport Hyatt Regency. The brothers all across the country that have made this conference possible have worked very hard, dedicated countless hours to pushing this program forward. Next slide, please. Okay, we got cut off a slide. So this year's program is actually based on the concept of a family and the way of life of a family, the family structure, which, as many of you already know, is currently being attacked by the Western media. The family dynamic that is so extremely important to us Muslims that exists within the Islamic framework is now under attack, and many of us are confused. And so this conference is an attempt to answer those questions. So I would like to please, first and foremost, welcome all of you December 21st to 24th. I would like to welcome all of you December 21st to 24th to come to this conference at the San Francisco Hyatt Regency. I look forward to seeing all of you there. There's a small admission fee because we are working as a nonprofit organization to keep this conference running. It's expensive to rent out a hall at a hotel, but we want everybody to come. So please tell your family, tell your friends. This is very important. We have the full support of Saba. We have the full support of many centers and many wonderful scholars, including Sheikh Amin Rastani, as well as his entire family. And so I would like to once again thank you for your time, and Bar Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat.
We'll just go over a few quick announcements. Thank you for bearing with us. We started a little bit late tonight because of all the all the things that are happening. If you feel a little warm, we've just increase the AC, so inshallah it'll cool down shortly. There's kids programs, children's programs. If you haven't heard, it's happening down the hall. I encourage you to go there if you're of that age or if you've got children of that age. Next slide. Camp Noor is happening in December. It's a youth camp. It's been great. I mean, I've attended a few years. Alhamdulillah, it's been really spiritually uplifting. Inshallah, if you are of the age that Camp Noor is looking for, then inshallah you should definitely attend. If you're new to Saba, there's ways to connect, newsletter, becoming a member, and if you have questions, people with green armbands can inshallah guide you. And there's a Saba app, iOS and Android app. If you haven't downloaded it already, you should download it, and you should give good reviews on it as well, just letting you know. Inshallah, tonight, I mentioned it yesterday and the night before, but I'll mention it again. Tonight is going to be the Jalus, the procession that happens through the halls and out around the building. So if you haven't seen it before, alhamdulillah, it's a gem of an event. I love it, participating every year. Basically, after the Latmiya that happens in this room, we're going to have just a couple of nohas, Afterwards, you'll hear other halls start to recite louder as we make our way out the door. Inshallah, we'll connect with all the other halls outside down the staircase of the front of the building. Okay? We'll connect with the rest of the halls down in the front of the building, and inshallah we'll proceed around the building reciting Latmiya and doing Azadari until we reach the back side of the building, where we'll all together, all the halls, all the languages, inshallah, we'll recite together and we'll do Azadari of our Imam together. Okay? So if you have any questions, please come ask any one of the green armbands, but please stay in the room, inshallah, for the Latmiya and for the procession that happens outside. Kissa Kids, you've seen me announce it before, educational literature for children and projects. The survey, if you haven't already, please do it now. You can just take a quick snapshot, pull out your phone, take a picture, and go to the URL afterwards. We need your feedback. Just a couple of specific announcements. The brothers that are sitting here in the chairs, the camera is pointed right in this direction. So if you do stand up, just know that you may be in the shot, so just be careful as you stand up. I'm trying to remember what the other announcements were, but I think that's all the announcements left. I did want to just have a couple of, I don't know if there's any more room. I'm being told to move forward, but I don't know if there's any other room. Okay, no other room, inshallah. Yeah, no problem. So I did want to just take a couple of minutes to continue the conversation that we were having yesterday. The conversation we were having yesterday was about what it is that this community means to us, what it is that this community has been doing, and ways that we can support, right? So every year, and pretty much every fundraiser that I've seen, you may have noticed that the goal is $30,000 for us to raise. The goal is $30,000. Generally, that's basically 10% of the entire fundraising that the community is trying to do. Different halls have different numbers, but for us, it's consistently been 10%. But I'll be honest, this number has bothered me. Why is it always 30,000? Why is it always 10%? Right? As a community, have we not been growing? This community, of all the communities, has been growing because the children want to attend and listen to their programs in English. That's what they need. We talked yesterday about the experiences that my generation had. My generation had some troubles dealing with some of the events and programs and the ways that the centers previously dealt with language issues, right? But we know now, my generation has reached this level, we know that this is where our kids are going to grow up. We know that when people attend from other centers, that this is where they want to be. Definitely, I come from an Urdu background, Urdu-speaking background, but I choose to be in this hall. I choose to attend the programs in this hall because I know that the support needs to be given where the growth is going to happen. The growth is going to happen in this hall. The growth is going to happen where the children are going to understand their faith in their native language. So, that 10% has bothered me. Because why, if our community is growing, if our children are growing up, if my generation faced the troubles that we did, and you know if you faced those troubles, you know in the centers that you grew up in, the struggles that you had. Now that we are here, now that we are grown up, why is it that we're still at that 10% level? So we need to ask ourselves that, and we need to ask more of ourselves. So yesterday, Brother Ahsan pushed for us to have that fundraising level at 35,000 instead of 30,000. Well, I can tell you, we blew that out of the water as well. I feel like now we are finally starting to come into our own. Because now our hall and our community can start to take on a greater burden of the community, because we are the ones who understand that the children need to attend a program where they understand. Is that right? So what is it that we now need to do? Where is it that we now need to go? In any direction here, we can look to see some amazing projects, some amazing change that is happening. in centers that I grew up, it was a struggle to get a class to happen. It was a struggle to get a basketball hoop. Now I will say Saba doesn't have a basketball hoop. So I have to put that out there. I have to be honest there. Inshallah, we'll change that with what we've raised last night. But we are looking around and we are seeing amazing projects that are happening, amazing volunteers that are putting in time and effort, right? We have a world-class kitchen there that any chef would be proud to cook in. We have a library there that is filled with amazing books. Inshallah, we all get a chance to actually utilize it. But there's amazing things that are happening. A full-time school down the hall. If you haven't seen the construction that has happened on the other side of the building, you definitely have to go. There is now a bunch of room for kids to play in there, and now those kids programs are happening in there where they aren't wedged into a closet. Alhamdulillah, we have reached this point now, but we weren't satisfied then, and this is where we have reached. So should we be satisfied now? Right now, the brothers and sisters are going to be walking around with the pledge forms, and they're going to be walking around with the credit cards. I understand that some of you, many of you, gave last night, but that doesn't mean you can't give tonight. If you have given a one-time pledge, what we really need are monthly donations. Monthly pledges that can, monthly pledges so that we can rely on that budget stream.
Anybody would like an envelope or would like to pay by credit card, please raise your hand and we'll make sure someone gets to you.
Please raise your hand. Let the people know they are walking around, and it's not easy to walk around. We're really in tight right now. So as they walk around, let's think. If we weren't satisfied then, and this is where we have reached, should we be satisfied now? Because where could we reach? There is no reason that we can't reach to a point where we have a full-time university. Because we know the legacy of education is in our deen. We know the legacy of knowledge is in our deen. So why is it that we cannot show that to others? Why is it that people can't recognize that right now in us? So let us make that happen. Let us not be satisfied. Let's appreciate what we have achieved. Alhamdulillah, this building is amazing. This community is amazing. But there is no reason we can't achieve more. And that is one thing that I experienced, is that, back home in other countries, there is an attitude of, well, it's good enough, right? Maybe in Urdu we may say chalta. It's okay, chalta, chalta. It's fine, right? It's okay, like that's good enough. If we don't finish the paint on this one wall, it's enough. It's good enough, right? That just bothered me, because I lived there for some time, but that bothered me. Why? Why is that? Why is it okay? But growing up here, we know one of our values is that no, 80% is not enough. 90% is not enough.
If you're waiting for a credit card or an envelope, please keep your hand up so we can find you.
90% is not enough. We do the job right, or we don't do it at all. We have a standard. That standard is Ahlul Bayt. We don't accept below that. When you have seen nur like that, why would we settle for anything less? So that is what we're expecting of ourselves now. There is no reason that we can't achieve all the things that I mentioned and more. So the brothers and sisters right now are going around with the boxes. If you have free cash, they're accepting that as well. There's a box that can go around as well.
Also, there's already a couple of young children who already gave $10 and $1 themselves.
And that's the amazing thing to see, isn't it? That it's the younger crowd that recognizes their own need before ourselves, before we recognize their need. Whether or not they say it, whether or not they express it, they recognize it. Whether it's by running around the halls instead of being in here, or whether it's by putting a few dollars in an envelope and handing it to one of us. So let's get ahead of the ball. Let's get ahead of the game. Let's recognize where we are at now and where we want to be. Because where we want to be is with the Ahlul Bayt. Where we want to be is much, much further than what we have achieved now. So with that, we will end inshallah. If you would like to continue, if you haven't gotten a chance to give one of the pledge forms or have a credit card reader come by, please raise your hand. Inshallah, one of the brothers and sisters can connect with you after the program. But with that, inshallah, I would like to end. And I would like to invite up Sheikh Amin. It's going to be tight, Sheikh Amin. I'm sorry. It's a little bit of a gymnastic act to get to the front, but I'm sure he can make it. صل على محمد وآل محمد صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Please bring water from Moulana.
And the younger crowd that is close here to the front, please keep in mind, Sheikh Amin is right here. So the smallest noise that you make, he hears it and it disturbs the lecture. So let's keep that in mind.
To us as well, when he says this. He says it's as if the dunya never existed to begin with. And it's as if the akhirah always was there, although we thought that it's not there. It was always there. He's pointing to a reality. He writes this letter to his brother Muhammad bin Hanafiya, letting the world know the importance of this dunya that we're dying for, the importance of the dunya that we think that is going to be everything, which is going to take our hand whenever we need it. He's letting us know that it's as if it's a mirage, an illusion that we thought was reality, but it didn't have reality to it. Tonight, I don't want to speak cliche. I don't want to speak repetitive. I don't want to say stuff that I might myself not live up to. I don't want to talk like that. I don't like talking like that. I want to get a little practical here. Look at things properly, inshallah. Put things into perspective. What was the problem of the Kufans? So that we don't make the same mistake they made. Imam says, for me, it's as if the world never existed. Dunya never existed. And that akhirah always existed. That's all I saw from the beginning. So us as Shia will have to understand things like that. Look at things like that a little bit. Does that mean that akhirah is everything, dunya is nothing? Does that mean we hate dunya? I want to talk about that tonight a little bit. Because, brothers and sisters, when Abu Abdullah al-Hussein falls to the ground, it purifies our souls. It washes our souls. If we need to go pray 5 times a day, the hadith says it's like dipping into a river and being washed and cleansed 5 times a day. There's this one day throughout the year apparently that we need to be washed, but thoroughly in and out. And that's for Abu Abdullah. It happens through the love and the martyrdom of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Because when Abu Abdullah Hussein is killed, that's when you care less about anything that's going on around you anymore. No one thinks about their business on the night of Ashura. No one thinks about what's going to happen tomorrow. Oh, have we figured out what we're going to have for lunch, dinner, breakfast? People don't think about that stuff anymore. And this is just a little small example. People forget about everything. They get a taste of what it means to kind of be detached. Now the Imams, they don't want us and they don't expect us to be totally detached from this dunya. It's part of our essence. We're going to be attached. We are in this material world. Part of us is this material realm. There's no way out of it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us here for that. But He wants us slowly, 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 as our lives go by, as I go through my younger age, and I go up to older ages, slowly I mature in this sense that attachment isn't there as much as it was before. When you look around you, especially in this part of the world, you don't see this. As the people grow older, you feel like they're still children. It's perfectly fine to be even in love with dunya in a sense and take pleasure in dunya, but the perspective is what counts, and you feel that is that which the Kufans lacked, and that's why they messed up. So what we want to talk about tonight is this, that how bad really is love of dunya? How much can it really hurt somebody? 1, 2. What is the real value of the dunya? And the dunya, is it really bad or not? We want to look at that as well. There's some cool stuff we want to cover tonight. It's going to inshallah help us throughout the year. Number 3, does all of that we say, does it mean that dunya is bad in essence and we can't take pleasure in life here? Some people, they feel like these two are totally antithetical to each other. The fact that I want to take pleasure in life equals I'm not spiritual, and vice versa. I want to see if that's accurate or not, if that's a good way of looking at things or not. And finally, what is the key to actually fixing this problem if some of us might have it, including myself? A little bit too much attachment and love for this dunya. How can we fix this problem? As I said, I'm going to try to keep it as non-cliche as I can. When it comes to these individuals who were their hands are stained with the blood of Imam Hussein on Ashura, we have in our ziyarat, it says, وَقَدْ تَوَازَرَ عَلَيْهِ مَنْ غَرَّتْهُ الدُّنْيَا وَبَاعَ حَظَّهُ بِالْأَرْضِ لِلْأَدْنَى. Those whom the dunya had deceived teamed against him. Those who traded their share with the low and the worthless share. This is what the dunya did to them. They became stupid. They traded something that was of more value for something that was less value. Sold their akhirah for the insignificant price. Shara akhiratahu bithamanil awkas. Sold his akhirah for dunya. This is going to be a problem. These transactions are a problem. Those who were destroyed in the pit of desires. This is what the ziyarah says. Alright, so the problem of these individuals who attacked Abu Abdullah is that the dunya is what is in their heart. Previous nights we talked about this. Farazdaq, when he meets Abu Abdullah outside of Mecca, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein asks him, how do you see the people of Iraq? What's going on? Tell me. He says they have love of you in their hearts, but their swords are against you. We talked about that. We said, how's that possible? It is possible. I have love of something, but I have love of another thing more than that. Well, of course, if I have to choose, I'll put that aside. Oh, Imam Hussein, we love you so much, but there's something that we love more than you. That's why when we have to make a choice, because Allah is going to test us, what do? We give preference to the dunya over Imam Hussein. This is the problem. Let's talk about how bad, how dangerous love of dunya can be before we talk about what that problematic love is all about. Let's just get an idea of how dangerous it is first. We have hadith, حُبُّ الدُّنْيَا رَأْسُ كُلِّ خَطِيئَةٍ. Love of dunya is the key, is the origin of all sins, all mistakes, all problems. The fact that you give preference here, alright, I love it so much. Alright, now you have to do something. Instead of having this good time, having fun here, doing something that you like, you have to do something else. No. I love dunya so much, I'm going to give preference to that. Alright. Why'd you do that? Because I love my pleasures, my desires, all that. That's what matters. رَأْسُ كُلِّ خَطِيئَةٍ. In the story of Bal'am, this individual who was a muballigh, he might have been a lecturer during the time of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, and he was way up there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him some stuff. The problem with him is he flies so high, but then shoots himself in one of his wings and he just falls. I'm being metaphorical here. Let me read the verses to you, just so we understand how dangerous this love of dunya is. The Quran says his problem was that he just stuck to the dunya. We're trying to pry him off, he's just sticking there. Relate to them an account of him to whom we gave our signs. Wow. Ayatina, we gave him our signs. Allah directly, ilm ladunni, has given him. We give him our signs, but he cast them off. Thereupon Shaitan pursued him, and he became one of the misguided. Had we wished, we would have surely raised him by their means, by the means of those ayat that we gave him. But why didn't you, Allah? What was the problem? But he clung to the dunya, the earth. أخلد إلى الأرض. He tried his best to just have eternity here. There is no such thing. In a material world, you won't have perfection, you won't have eternity, you won't have infinity in such a world. That's the material world. Have you noticed scientists, they say there is no such thing as certainty. Have you heard that before? They're right. They're right. In the material world, you won't reach 100%, ever. Even in your conviction. You can't. Because why? Without the help of philosophy, without the help of intellectual endeavor, just through experimentation and empirical data, you can't get 100%. At the end of the day, if 1,000 times fire burns, maybe the 1,000th and first time, it's not going to burn, as it didn't burn Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. So it's interesting that even they're right in this sense. In the material world, you won't get any perfection here. But it says, أَخْلَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ. أَخْلَدَ إِلَى الْأَرْضِ. He tried to be eternal here. You can't. So he shot himself in his wings and he fell. This is the problem. Sticking, clinging on. They try to pry you off, they can't. So that is dangerous, brothers and sisters. That a person of that status, that Allah has given science to him, can fall. Alright, so now you have our attention now. Okay, it's dangerous. Tell us about this a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the real value of dunya. Once again, I keep saying this, and it just reminds me of stuff that I would hear when I was a kid. And it's like so cliche, but just bear with me, and we'll get to some good stuff. Let's talk about the value of this dunya. How much value can I give it then? Alright, you're telling me that be careful that you're not attached to it. Or else a day will come, I might even stand in the face of my imam because of it. So does that mean I can give it 20% importance and love, attachment, 30%? I'm giving 70% somewhere else. 20% at least, 30% at least, let me have it. I'm going to relate to you 3 examples we have in Nahj al-Balagha. You tell me how much these are worth to you. And however much that's worth, you can put that same amount of value on dunya. 3 examples Imam Ali gives of things. I want to see how much value we give to those things. However much value we give to them, we can give that same value to dunya that the Imam is using examples for. Number 1, he says, وَاللَّهِ لَدُنْيَاكُمْ هَذِهِ أَهْوَنُ فِي عَيْنَيْهِ مِنْ عُرَاقِ خِنْزِيرٍ فِي يَدِ مَجْذُومٍ. He says, for me the value is this. The value is that, or it's less than this even, that the bone of a pig, dead pig, in the hand of someone that has like this crazy illness. How much, and you want to take that from that individual, this bone. How much is that worth to you? 10%? 20%? 50%? However much value you give to this, he says give that much to the dunya. For me personally, I don't know, 0 maybe. 0%. Hang in there. I'm not saying dunya is bad though. Imam Ali is going to teach us also that it's not bad. But just wait. It says, "Dunyakum hadihi azhad indi min aftati anzin." Some of you have heard these lines before, probably. It's Nahj al-Balagha. He says, for me, it's worth less than the sneeze of a goat. How many of us even knew that? That goats can sneeze. Now here, he's talking about the stuff that comes out when it sneezes. How much is that worth to me? I take a napkin and I collect that stuff and I look at it. How much is that worth to me? However much it's worth to me, that's how much he says I'll give to the dunya of value. Number 3. دنياكم عندي لأهون من ورقة في فم جرادة تقدمها. For me, it's worth as much as, or maybe less than, a leaf that's in the mouth of a locust or grasshopper that's chewing on it. And I always use this example. You've seen in like Discovery Channel and whatnot. You've seen what it looks like when they zoom in on the face of these insects and when they're chewing, they're having a good time. But I'm about to throw up when I'm watching that stuff. The Imam is saying, however much value you give to that, That's how much value? Less than that, of course, I'll give to dunya. Alright. So now let's start putting up banners everywhere that we hate the dunya. There's this new cult called the dunya haters. And why? Because Amir al-Mu'minin taught us that zero value. We're going to start hating on the dunya, right? Recite salawat. So someone actually tried to kind of act cool in front of the imam once. Apparently. You know, you want to get someone's attention, you know they don't like something, you start talking bad about it too. He starts talking bad about dunya. I want you guys to pay attention, especially younger ones we've always been hearing, dunya is bad, dunya is bad. Dunya is bad, or is it not bad? Let's see if it really is bad, or what is the bad thing here actually. We want to break it down. We want to be precise. We want to put our finger on exactly what the problem is. Is it really dunya or not? Imam Ali, this is what he's saying. He's saying this is how much it's worth. So let's talk bad about it now. Someone talks bad about it in front of Imam Ali. Imam Ali knows what's going on. Nahjul Balagha again, saying number 131 according to the print that I have. He says, "Oh, you who abuse the dunya." Alright, so someone is abusing dunya, slandering dunya, speaking ill of dunya in my presence. "Oh, you who speaks bad of dunya. Oh, you who have been deceived by its deceit and cheated by its wrongs," quote unquote. "Do you covet the world and dunya and then abuse it? You get as much as you want out of it, then you abuse it? Do you accuse it, or should it accuse you?" Who's the problem here? "When did it bewilder you or deceive you? Was it that the dunya deceived you through the decay and fall of your forefathers? Tell me, where are your ancestors right now? They're all under the dirt. And they're all dead. Okay, did the dunya show you that or not? It did show me that. Alright, so wait a minute. It showed you its true colors? Dang. It showed you its true colors, and now you're slandering it. What a bad thing it is, dunya. What a bad thing it is. Oh, dunya, poor thing. Shows you everything. Is it the decay and fall of your forefathers that it deceived you through? Or by the sleeping places of your mothers under the ground?" Sometimes you fool someone, you deceive someone, it means you don't show your true colors, you hide them. Here, it showed you its true colors. "How much you looked after them in their illnesses, nursed them during sickness, desiring for them to be cured, consulting physicians for them," all of that stuff. "Your mourning for them did not prove useful to them, and you could not achieve your aims. You couldn't save them, they passed away. You could not ward off death from them." Alright, so you saw all of this. Certainly, now he's talking about what this dunya is really all about. Although it has zero value in his eyes, at the same time it can have a high value. Wow, so it's going to be kind of relative and subjective, as a matter of fact. He says, "Certainly this dunya is a house of truth for him who appreciates it. A place of safety for him who understands it." Oh my God, is this Amir al-Mu'minin talking here about dunya? Seriously. Because all you see in Najl Balagha is him bashing dunya. But now here he's putting things into perspective. He says it's a place of safety for him who understands it. A house of riches for him who collects provision from it. A house of riches, a treasure box for the ones who actually take from it and put in their pocket. For akhirah, of course, not for here. For their eternal life. And a house of instructions for him who draws instruction from it. Oh my God, are we talking about like one of the ayatollahs or something? It is the place of worship for the lovers of Allah, the place of praying for the angels of Allah, the place where the revelation of Allah descends, and the marketing place for those devoted to Allah, the businessmen and the businesswomen who are going to start spending here to go there and reap the rewards. Spending not just money-wise. And I want to thank everyone who has helped financially these past couple nights. I thank you for that. And may Allah thank you. مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يُقْرِضُ اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا فَيُضَاعِفَهُ لَهُ. Allah says, is there anybody out there to lend me some money that I gave you, of course, but lend it back to me so I multiply it? There's so much to say about that. It makes me happy that we don't have to do any more fundraising tonight because we finished it last night. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. And may Allah give you tawfiqat more and more every day and bless you. He says it's a marketing place. Yes, some people made it to Jannah through their wealth. Some people make it through their ibadah, some people make it through their taqwa. At the end of the day, they make it if they make it through this dunya. What are you talking about dissing the dunya? Diss yourself. Herein they earned mercy, and herein they acquired paradise by way of profit. They profited here. Alright, so this is the dunya. Alright, so wait. You had 3 sayings, Imam Ali, and more, that we don't cover. We didn't cover. That says, okay, it's that mosquito, it's that locust chewing on leaves. It's that dead bone of a pig. It's that goat sneeze. That's what it is. On one hand, he says that, but then all of a sudden, look at how he's speaking of it as if it's like a ma'soom or something. Which one is it? What's the difference? Hey, let's look at the wording again. Let's go back. Saying number 1, Wallah la dunya kum. Your dunya. Second saying, dunya kum hadhihi. This dunya of yours. Dunya kum indi. Number 3, your dunya in my eyes. Okay, so there you have a pronoun. There you have a pronoun added to dunya. Your dunya is all this bad stuff. But at the same time, we look here now. It says the dunya itself when he's speaking good about it. You tell me now, brothers and sisters. What's the main problem here? Is it the dunya part or is it the kum, you part? The way you look at it. The way you deal with it. Generally speaking, he said dunya is all this good stuff. But when he's talking ill of dunya, he adds a pronoun, your dunya, this dunya of yours. Wait a minute, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Don't you live on the same planet as us? Of course he does. Why are you associating it to us? Why are you drawing a line between you and us? Because he looks at it differently. He has a different perspective. The Kufans didn't have this perspective. That's what counts. Wow, you can be Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam with the proper perspective of dunya, and then you can be some loser hobo somewhere with nothing, with the wrong perspective, and you never make it. Oh my God. Wake up call. This is the problem of the Kufans. So all this time when we talk about, oh, being attached, not being attached, the value, this, that, the problem is me. That's why the Imam goes on to say, and look at the wording here, حَقًّا أَقُولُ. By Allah, I'm telling the truth, he says, مَا الدُّنْيَا غَرَّتْكَ وَلَكِنْ بِهَا اغْتَرَرْتَ. The dunya didn't come and fool you proactively. No. You were fooled through the dunya. There's a big difference. Remember last night we talked about the verse of Quran? Or was it today? That sometimes shaitan fools us through Allah. Gives us extra hope. The Quran says, don't let shaitan fool you through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يَغُرَّنَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ. Don't let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be a means of you being fooled. Oh, that means Allah is bad. Allah fooled me. No. Something else used it like that. Used the concept of Allah. Of course, no one can use Allah himself. Used the concept of Allah to fool. Here also the Imam is saying, don't think dunya came and was like after fooling you and tricking you. The dunya was a creation of Allah. Allah put it there. The way you dealt with it and the way you looked at it. The love of it that you put in your heart in a way that it overlaps and overshadows the other things that you have love for that are more important. That's the problem. Dunyakum is the problem, not dunya. Dunyakum. Your dunya is the problem. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. That's number 2. Now, having said all of that, does it mean now, what we're talking about here, that having fun and taking pleasure in life is all bad now? I think we should have gotten our answer already. That the dunya itself, there's no problem as long as your perspective is right. But I want to give you some examples just to make it a little more tangible. It's like this. I want to have fun in life. All right. I want to take pleasure. It's all good. Question. Just an example. Some of you might not like this. But like, let's just say you have a bag of M&Ms and you got a box of Swiss chocolate. I can't think of anything better. I don't know. Like you guys might know. I don't know. Like Swiss chocolate, is that the thing or no? Whatever. Just imagine something that's much better than M&Ms. Now, someone here, what they do is They're like, I like M&Ms. Fine, M&Ms are fine. We all love M&Ms, inshallah. We all like it. Fine, there's no problem in that. But hey, you can take pleasure in it too. It's all right. But if having M&Ms fills you up, and then now you can't have the Swiss chocolate, that's a problem. Because you can't keep the box. They're taking it. They're just passing them out now. A child will run for the M&Ms because it sees color and all that kind of stuff. Different colors of the M&Ms. And grabs handfuls and handfuls. You just look at that child and say, what a petty understanding. Brother, bring the Swiss box of chocolates this way. Would you like some M&Ms? Don't even talk to me. Yeah, if I don't have something greater, fine, I'll take pleasure in it. But I'm not going to sacrifice one for the other. That's the part. That's the important part. Ali ibn Talib, he says, dunya doesn't have a problem. The way you look at it, which is what? You're willing to give up dunya, to give up akhirah for dunya. That's the problem. That's the problem. Very simple. And that's why he adds that pronoun. The way you look at it. I look at it. The way I look at it. Like children. Running for the colorful stuff. But at the same time, it's still M&Ms though. I mean, you can take pleasure in it. So we want to make sure we get both. If on one day I have the minimum, I'll take the minimum and I'll take pleasure in it, no problem. But if there's going to be a maximum, I'm going to take that for sure. That's why when it comes to akhirah, brothers and sisters, in a sense, I don't want to use this word, but it's good to be greedy. Allah wants us to be greedy when it comes to akhirah, in the sense of, I'm going to get as much. There is no finishing. It's eternal. Infinity. I can gather as much as I can. That's what He wants. He wants you to make the most of this dunya so you can get the most out of the akhirah. And then some people are here stuck, giving up akhirah for dunya. أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. The Quran says, have you not seen the person who takes his desires as his Lord? When the desires become the Lord, you listen to that. You'll take that which is not the best for you and sacrifice the better one. Although you can take pleasure in this. So what am I getting at here? There are some pleasures out there that if we do take them, we will have to give up the greater pleasures of akhirah. That's the problem. But if you can take a pleasure here and still secure the pleasures there, what's the problem? And the Quran says clearly, Surah A'raf verse 32, say, who has forbidden the adornments of Allah which He has brought forth for His servants? Remember we were talking about super religious man the other night? Once again he swoops back in. He says, no. If you want pleasure of akhirah, you have to throw away every pleasure of dunya. Maybe Ma'asumin can do that. And even there, they didn't teach us that. You don't find that too much in their sayings. He thinks that to take pleasure in akhirah, you have to make sure there's no pleasure here. Any form of pleasure here is a problem. No, who says? Who says? I will take both, but I'll know what my priorities are. Very simple. We don't need to talk anymore about this. The Quran says, who has forbidden the adornment of Allah which He has brought forth for His servants, and the good things of His provision? The good, pure things that Allah has created. Allah created for who? For us. جَعَلَ لَكُمْ مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا. Allah has put everything on this earth, the Quran says, for you. For your purpose. So if there's halal stuff out there, I can take pleasure in it because it's not going to hurt my pleasures later either. If I'm going to, I keep using this example, sorry. If I'm going to have M&Ms today, it's okay because tomorrow I'll have Swiss chocolate. It's not going to affect it. But hey, if I'm going to have both of them on the same day, I'll make a different decision in life for my life. Say these are for the faithful in the life of this world. Allah created for you, O faithful people, and exclusively for them on the day of judgment and resurrection. Thus do we elaborate the signs for a people who have knowledge. So dunya, let's go back. Dunya itself is not a problem for sure, because it shows us its true colors. 1. 2. Our approach to dunya is the problem. Number 3, we can take pleasure in it though, as long as it doesn't hurt the greater pleasures. End of story. Or as long as it doesn't hurt us and bring adhab upon us in the day after the day of judgment. That's what counts. Yeah, if any of us reach a certain level of spirituality, inshallah, may Allah help us to get there. And you'll know when you get there, inshallah. If that happens, yeah, there's some things that you're going to have to watch out for more. But trust me, if you're like, have I reached it or not yet? Trust me, you haven't. Just continue with the wajib and haram of Allah. And that's where you come to this fourth point that I want to make here. Is that, hey, how do I get, okay, you're talking about this love, me not getting my priorities straight. How do I make sure that I do actually set everything straight and how it's supposed to be? How can I make sure about that? Answer, and I've said this again and again over these nights. There's two ways to address the problems we have, spiritual problems and diseases that we have. Number one, there's one approach that as youth growing up, we're always hearing too. And you'll have books, I don't know how thick, this thick about all the different radha'il al-akhlaqiyya. Al-radha'il al-akhlaqiyya. All the bad traits, akhlaqi bad traits that someone can have. For example, jealousy, I don't know. For example, arrogance. For example, greed. In that book, they'll come and say, to get rid of your jealousy, do this. To get rid of greed, do that. There's some nice hadiths in there too that will reproach these bad traits. A person who is arrogant on the day of judgment, will be trampled under the feet of others, and he'll be like in the form of an ant or something. We'll have hadith, and these do help. I'm not going to undermine that. But, brothers and sisters, there's a better way to address these impurities within us, these weeds in our existence. Sometimes you pluck every weed separately. Sometimes you cut off the water source to the weeds. And this is where I need your attention. Sometimes you cut off the water source to the weeds. Now you don't have to go out and spend too much time, although it's going to be hard to stop that water from flowing. It's hard to give that water a detour. Send it off through another direction so it doesn't feed water the plants, the weeds that you want to pluck out. But if you're able to do that, you won't have to worry about every single weed out there. I have to go and pull it out. No. What is that? How do I cut the water source off? The problem, brothers and sisters, is, and we're going to have a sequence here. The problem is weak iman. Once again, I don't want to sound cliche. Recite salawat. Because we hear this all the time. Weak iman, strong iman. From here on, I'm just going to be speaking, not from myself, but from what the greats say. I'm just going to be a channel here, channeling this to you. Whoever wants can take. Whoever disagrees, we can talk later, or they can have their own way. It's okay. But what the greats say is that you need to cut off the water source. The problem and the water source is weak faith, weak iman. In other words, this eye of the heart, and I always talk about this eye of the heart is shut tight and doesn't see anything. Doesn't feel Allah's presence. How can I do that though? You're sounding like those people who want to just talk about spirituality, but after the majlis is over, we just go home, we forget about everything. No. We've been talking about cardio these past few nights, spiritual cardio. We've been talking about training physically, talking about all those. I want to wrap it up here and make it nice and structured for us with a sequence. Number one, the problem is weak iman. In other words, why is it that the imams wouldn't sin? They were forced to not sin? That goes against every scholar in the Shia mainstream school of thought. Or not, let's not even say mainstream, probably everyone. Is it because they're forced that they don't sin, or no? They have a special cognition. They have a special cognition that allows them, that they see, as if they see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you see Him and you're in love with Him, you don't go against Him. Alright. So now, I want to get to that level. It takes a long time, but this is the formula for it, brothers and sisters. And I'll end after I give you the formula. The formula goes like this. You have to have practical dhikr of Allah. Practical dhikr of Allah. How does that happen? Slowly through practical dhikr of Allah and remembrance of Allah, practical, you will start to believe that He's the most important one. I'll explain practical dhikr, just bear with me. you will believe the soul is slowly convinced that, hey, he's the most important one. Because everything I want to do, I'm making sure before it that his satisfaction is secured first. Then I do it. Okay. So that's what it is. I want to secure that. Give us an example. Explain to us what this practical dhikr is. Practical dhikr means every action I want to do beforehand, I ask myself, subconsciously, I ask myself, is this something Allah wants or not? No, it's haram. Okay, I'm going to stay away from it. Is this something Allah wants or not? It's wajib. Okay, I'm going to make sure I do it. Is it mustab makruh? Fine, you can go ahead and do it. Because he says it's okay, you can do it or not. Every time I want to do something, I'm remembering him in practice. Ayatollah Bahjat says, this is what does magic. This is what fixes everything up. Slowly you start to believe. There's a story I've said 1,000 times. I'll say it tonight too. Some of you have heard it, some of you haven't. Mullah Nasruddin. Who knows? Iranians know what that's all about. Mullah Nasruddin there's fables in Iranian culture we have that you take lesson from these stories. They might not all be true. Anyway, in one of these stories, I want to exhibit. I want to illustrate to us what is meant by practical. Practical, what it does to the soul, to the belief, to the one's iman in something. Mullah Nasruddin once he would do funny stuff sometimes. One of the funny things he does, he's like, you know what? Let's play a prank. Everybody, like, there's free biryani they're giving. Everyone starts running. Right? Well, that biryani, he's Iranian, but anyway, biryani is free biryani. Everyone starts running for that. One person goes, 2 people go, 10 people go, 20 people go, 30 people go. Eventually, what happens? He's like, wait a minute. What if they are actually giving free biryani there? And he runs himself. This explains what Ayatollah Bahjat is trying to say. When he says practical dhikr is the best, because in practice, things when they happen again and again, the body, the mind, the soul accepts that this is a reality. Slowly, if I, every single day, not through necessarily holding a tasbih, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, maybe even sinning because I'm letting others know. Instead of that, everything I'm doing before it's so important for me that I make sure that I'm not doing something against Allah's will. This is constant reminder that He's the important one. Slowly the dial in the heart turns towards Him, towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Slowly. That's strong iman. Turns towards Him. A person who now the dial of his heart is in that direction of Allah, is it important for them if someone else has something that I don't, so I become jealous? No. The dial is in that direction now. Will I be arrogant? Not really, because I know that everything is about Him. It takes a long time though, brothers and sisters. We have to prove ourselves. But this is something solid that if someone achieves it, it's going to be hard to lose it as well. Versus the spiritual highs that we get sometimes that cease to exist after a little bit. So the people of Kufa, what I want to wrap up is here. I have no time. I want to finish this as soon as I can. The people of Kufa, the mistake they made was that not just they wanted to take pleasure in life, not that they had desires and they wanted to take pleasure in those. No, their priorities weren't set straight. And there are certain harams they would commit. And that's why the iman stayed very low. It didn't strengthen. That's why in Ashura, Imam Hussein says, no matter how much I talk to you, it won't penetrate your hearts. Why? Because you filled your bellies with what? With haram. Brothers and sisters, do we get why all these 10 nights I've been emphasizing on this so much? Haram is dangerous. The same way observing it will build our iman, and not observing it, according to hadith, it cuts like a knife cuts through flesh and cuts through meat. So we ask Abu Abdullah al-Hussein to take our hand on such a night. We make a decision from this night onwards that, Ya Abu Abdullah, I promise at least one of those things that I'm struggling with, I'm going to work harder, because I don't want to ever make the mistake that the Kufans made. Recite a salawat. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. The night of Ashura has arrived, and tonight we will be commemorating the beloved and Madlum Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam. The mothers in the gathering, they can understand better, and the fathers in the gathering can understand also to an extent. That when you look at a baby and a child that wants to nurse, that is thirsty, wants the mother's milk, it can't wait. It wants it right away. Now, I've looked at my child also with this look. I tried to see that how hard is it really if I don't let my daughter or my son, whatever, have water or milk for a little bit of time, and you see that it gets restless. It'll get restless, this child, and that's where you stop. You say, this is enough. Just a minute, you let go. After that, you can't. But if there is no water in the camp, if the mother's milk has dried, this baby will get restless and restless and restless, and eventually will run out of energy and will be in a state of death in life. Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam looks around, there is no one left. When Abbas is gone, it's over, brothers and sisters. It's over. There is no Abbas left. Abu Abdullah gets ready to go and fight, as if there is no one left to support him. We want to be poetic again tonight, brothers and sisters. There is one little cry that he hears, that, hey, I'm left. Oh, Father, don't think you don't have an army. Don't think you don't have any more soldiers left to help you and companions left to help you. Ali al-Asghar says, take me to the battlefield. My hands might be small. I may be an infant, but I can at least try to get into the hearts of this enemy. Change their hearts at least. They didn't let my uncle Muhsin make it to Karbala. Or else there would be a Hussein, there would be a Abu al-Fadl Abbas, there would be a Muhsin. But they made sure to get rid of him before he was born. Brothers and sisters, think about it. You have an Abu Abdullah, then you have a Muhsin, then you have an Abbas. So different, so different. But they killed Muhsin. Oh Father, I might have grown also to do something big later, but let me try to do something big now. They say Abu Abdullah comes and takes this baby. Maybe I can get him some water before I'm killed. The enemy sees Abu Abdullah approaching them, but he's not coming to fight. But we thought Abbas was killed. We cut him to pieces after Imam Hussein left him next to the Euphrates. We killed him. We mutilated him. So isn't he coming out to fight now? No. Why is he dressed in a certain way? Why is he wearing the turban of Rasulullah? The cloak of Rasulullah? Is he carrying something? Abu Abdullah comes close to this army. They say he pulls out a baby. This baby like the moon. He holds him high. Oh people, if I've done something wrong, what is the sin of this child? Can you not see that it's dying? Look at it. أَمَا تَرَوْنَهُ كَيْفَ يَتَلَظَّى عَطَشًا. Don't you see that its lips are opening and closing like a fish out of water that's ready to die? Don't you have any mercy in your hearts? This army is looking at Ali al-Asghar, and slowly some are being touched. Ali al-Asghar, be happy. You're doing the damage. Abu Abdullah, as he speaks, they say Umar ibn Sa'd looks at Harmala. Harmala, what are you waiting for? He says, who do I shoot? The father or the son? He says, look at the whiteness of the neck of Ali and al-Asghar. Brothers and sisters, as Abu Abdullah is addressing the opposition, this baby that had no energy to move anymore, his head was hanging on one side without any energy. All of a sudden they say Abu Abdullah felt this baby moving very quickly. A three-pronged arrow, فذبحه من الأذن إلى الأذن ومن الوريد إلى الوريد. This three-pronged arrow works like a dagger when it strikes. This little neck of Ali al-Asghar is cut from ear to ear. Abu Abdullah's arm is covered with the blood of Ali. They say he takes this blood in his hand and throws it to the sky. هون علي ما نزل بي إنه بعين الله. The only thing that makes this easy on me that, oh Allah, you are watching. The purest and most innocent of bloods is thrown to the sky. They say it, not a drop falls back to the ground. This head is hanging, they say, by the skin of the neck of Ali. What is Abu Abdullah to do? Take this baby back to the tents, the mother will see. What do I do with this body? They say he takes the body behind the tents. He digs a little grave for Ali and al-Asghar and buries the body there. There is no hope left for Abu Abdullah. If they're not going to have mercy on Ali al-Asghar, then who will they have mercy on? شيعتي مهما شربتم ماء عذب فاذكروني أو سمعتم بشهيد أو غريب فاندبوني. O my Shia, whenever you drink water, remember me. Whenever you hear of a shaheed, remember me. ليتكم في يوم عاشوراء جميعا تنظروني كيف أستسقي لطفلي فأبوا أن يرحموني. O my Shia, I wish you were there to watch me on Ashura. How I asked for them to give my son water, but they denied to have mercy on me. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون.
Baba Hussein, water for me. Brothers, excuse me, please stop going out the door. Brother, please stop going out the door. We're going to all go out together. Jazakumullah khair. We're going to have majlis. We just do a short nohan here. We join the majlis. We go outside. Everything's going to be outside during the majlis, inshallah. Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar Shaheed. 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 Ali Come closer, come closer. Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar Shaheed. Ali Asghar Shaheed Asghar Ustaz Hussein, Asghar Stazat Hussein. Too small innocent eyes, too small innocent eyes. Asghar Stazat Hussein, too small innocent eyes. A silence between them, those sunken eyes speak out. A silence between them, those sunken eyes speak out. Baba Hussein, water for me. I'm so thirsty, I'm a baby. Baba Hussein, water for me. I'm so thirsty, I'm a baby. Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar. Ali Asghar Shaheed, Ali Asghar Shaheed. Father stares at baby, tears they sharply roll down. Father stares at baby, tears of shame roll down. Should a father not protect his little baby? Should a father not protect his little baby? My sweet baby, forgive daddy. God knows the shame I have in me. My sweet baby, forgive daddy. God knows the shame I have in me. Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar. Everyone, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar. Shaheed, soldiers are staring at this dying baby boy. Soldiers are staring at this dying baby boy. He's showing them his tongue, choking dry it speaks out. He's showing them his tongue, choking dry it speaks out. Oh, you soldiers, please have mercy. I have no sword, I'm a baby. Oh, you soldiers, please have mercy. I have no sword, I'm just thirsty. Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar Shaheed, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar Shaheed, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar Shaheed. He's holding baby tight, hoping they'll show mercy. He's holding baby tight, hoping they'll show mercy. Kal Hormala one says, Hossein goes blind with fear. Kal Hormala one says, Hossein goes blind with fear. Three-hit arrow, leave my baby, don't kiss his throat, please leave him free. Three-hit arrow, leave my baby, don't kiss his throat, please leave him free. Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar Shaheed, Ali Asghar, Ali Shaheed, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar. Baby is bleeding so, father is shaking so. Baby is bleeding so, father is shaking so. What will he tell Roba? Mother is hoping so. What will he tell Roba? Mother is hoping so. Earth can take my great sacrifice. I can't return to the campsite. Oh, Earth, take my great sacrifice. I can't return to the campsite. Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar Shaheed, Ali Asghar. Ali Asghar Shaheed, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar Shaheed, Ali Asghar Shaheed, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar, Ali Asghar Shaheed, Ali Asghar. حسين مني وأنا من الحسين، حسين مني وأنا من الحسين، وأنا من الحسين، حسين مني وأنا من الحسين، حسين مني وأنا من الحسين، حسين مني وأنا من الحسين. The arms of the Rasul were the cradle of Hussein. Whenever Hussein cried, Rasulullah felt pain. The arms of the Rasul were the cradle of Hussein. Whenever Hussein cried, Rasulullah felt pain. Wherever Rasul went, on his shoulder were Hussein. أنا من الحسين، حسين مني وأنا 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 من الحسين. So, brothers and sisters, inshallah, we're going to start heading out to join the julus behind Arabic. So please bear with us and stick with us and give us a lot of, repeat after us, please, so we can make our voices loud and clear, inshallah. Salawat Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, sisters. If you could please follow the respective halls all the way out. Inshallah, we'll be meeting in front of the center and we could follow the groups out. Thank you.